Today we'll be reviewing this medieval tavern set. It's got so many cool little details, and I think it's the first medieval tavern set that I've seen which is actually minifig scale, so I think it will be a great addition to any LEGO medieval city. I actually received this set from a German company called LesDiy, and they sell a variety of different MOCs from a wide range of themes. I recommend you guys go check out their website, not only to see if anything else interests you, but also to get inspiration for your own MOC building, because LesDiy enables MOC builders from all over the world by providing parts and turning designers' MOC ideas into actual sets which people can buy. So it's basically a large platform with lots of MOC building styles, and purchasing from them is a great way to support the lesser known MOC designers. And the best part is that you can use my discount code HBS20 to get 20% off your entire order on LesDiy. I'll have a few affiliate links down below which you can use to shop around. Every purchase made using those links will grant me a small commission at no extra cost to you, so I really appreciate the support if you do end up using them. Despite the fact that LesDiy sent the set out to me for review, they will have no influence over what I have to say, so this will be an honest review as I do with all the other sets that I've reviewed on this channel. But enough of the intro, let's get into the unboxing. Alright guys, so now let's take a look at the box, and as you can see, it pretty much dwarfs my entire studio setup here. Yeah, it's absolutely massive. Yeah, but you can see I got the medieval tavern set with a pretty cool red and black color scheme. It's got 3,214 pieces. The company name is Rio Bricks. Yeah, it's basically part of their European Century series, I guess you could say. I really like the box art too. We've got some barrels in the back. And on the side here, you can see there's a little illustration of a medieval house. Hope you can see that well. Yeah, over on the back side, you can see basically some features of the interior of the tavern. But yeah, we'll focus on that in the review section of the video. You guys will get a better idea of what's on the inside and everything else. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. And I don't know why it says since 1769 there. I'm sure they weren't selling medieval tavern sets in the 1700s. Yeah. Open it up. It's a pretty cool box for something off-branded. Normally, these things just come in plastic packaging, just without a box. So it's really refreshing to see that they went the extra mile to obviously have it in the box. And as I say that, you can see that there's actually more boxes inside. We got box A, box B. That's pretty much it. Everything else inside. Alright, of course. Oh wow, this one's a thick one. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. I was expecting online instructions like they normally do, but this is pretty much on par with LEGO. As you can see, I mean, these sort of fit the vibe of the UCS sets. Yeah, I mean, the instructions are absolutely huge, so I'm pretty sure that it will be a breeze to go through all of the steps. The bags are also numbered, which is a lifesaver to be honest, because as you know, pretty much all the other sets that I have unboxed on this channel were all just pretty much a bundle of parts. So yeah, it's really nice to see that they put in the work to really make this an enjoyable experience. Alright, now let's go ahead and open box B. LesDiy mentioned that they would actually send me a small gift. So yeah, I guess this is what it is. We'll check that out towards the end of the video. And inside we have obviously some more parts. There it is. Right, so I have set up the camera up top. I just wanted to show you guys a better look at this awesome instruction manual. It's a little bit blurry and the colors might be slightly off, but I mean, it's still a substantial upgrade from just online PDFs. I find this to be just so much better and easier to build and to follow along. So we've got about 306 pages to build, and here you can see all the parts. There are actually some stickers to the set, two of which are shield stickers and the rest are, I guess, these wood planks. I guess there's no printed pieces in this set. Let's get building. there it is, guys, the medieval tavern. Before I get into the review, I wanted to make a small clarification on the naming of this building. I know it's labeled as a medieval tavern, but taverns were more focused on food and drink, with little to no accommodations for spending the night or getting a room. Medieval inns, on the other hand, were more focused on providing a place to sleep for travelers, though they did also provide food and drinks to an extent. These inns were placed all over popular trade routes in the Middle Ages and strategically positioned to be within one day's travel from one another, so that travelers would always have a place to sleep for the night. So from now on, I'll categorize it as an inn. Also, towards the end of the review, I actually thought it would be pretty interesting to start rating the sets that I review. So we will be rating it based on the build experience, the look of the exterior, the details on the interior, and on the historical accuracy of the build. The ratings will be out of 10, so keep that in mind as I'm going through the review. And be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree with my rating or not. Looking at this inn now, first of all, I mean, look at how big it is. It's massive compared to some of the other buildings that I have. Like this medieval church set looks tiny next to this thing. Let's start with the exterior. On the front entrance of the inn, you can see that the whole building has this stone foundation of around 3 bricks high, and just under this staircase, which leads to the main door, you'll actually notice there's a small door there under the arch, which actually leads to the inn's storage area and cellar. Clearly, it's not high enough for a minifigure to stand, so you actually have to pretty much crawl into there, which is impractical. Speaking of crawling into places, I think I have an idea for what my next video will be about. Above the staircase, we have the actual first floor, and you'll see some windows with those cross-hatched window grill patterns, and they'll be sprinkled out all throughout the inn. I really like the sign, which is made of a barrel, letting everyone know that this is the inn. On the sides, we have these 2 black pillars which extend into arches that help support the overhang of the second floor. On the second floor, we see more of that red and black color scheme. I have to say, I'm a huge fan of these protrusions and overhanging sections. I think this is what really makes the building interesting to look at. Looking at the roof, you'll notice it's using a similar technique to that of the medieval blacksmith set from LEGO. And here is where you can see an example of where the quality of bricks really shines. The roof tiles have a slightly textured finish which makes them look realistic as opposed to something that is flat and smooth, so that's a plus when it comes to ordering things from LesDiy. You can really tell that the quality of the bricks is slightly better than some of the other off-branded MOCs. Turning the set to the left side, you can immediately see that there are these 2 birch trees, which I actually quite like. It's pretty unique as well. It's not every day you get to see birch trees in LEGO. But the technique is actually pretty simple. It uses those Technic tube pieces and the hole in the middle with the black Technic pin showing, which actually adds to the overall look of the birch tree. Very well thought out. Next to the trees, we have a barrel of hay and some tools for the stables. That's right, this inn has its own dedicated area for travelers to keep their horses for the night, which is quite convenient. It's got more of a rundown look, which is fitting for what it represents. The gate does swing open and you can comfortably fit a couple of horses there. Looking at the second floor, we can see more of that black framing going on, and they actually utilize the round tiles for a better effect. And the way they covered up the roof section is actually quite nice. They use the 2 brick built sections, which you then attach and connect at the top there, and finally you attach this shield piece and clip to cover that gap a little more. And at the very top, you add this section to round it off a little bit. You gotta appreciate just how well made this roof is. It's pretty remarkable. We then come around to the backside, which consists of this side section of the inn, as well as the chimney, which has some nice shaping to it. Not too much texture going on, but it still looks great. One small downside is that you can see the parts of the interior of the attic through this gap, which is a pretty easy fix. All they had to do is add a layer of brick there, and it would have been perfect. They seem to have covered it on the front side, but not on the back side, which is a little weird. And here is the final side, which we haven't looked at yet, and I'd say this is actually one of the best. I love the cute little overhang going on the right with those windows. This is actually the exterior of the kitchen area on the interior, which is pretty cool. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of vines growing on walls because some MOC designers tend to use them excessively, and it wouldn't make sense for a very busy inn to be overgrown with vines because they would oftentimes maintain the look of the exterior to attract travelers in this case. But right here it looks great, and it actually serves a purpose, believe it or not. It actually covers the parts where the tile framing couldn't really get to, which is quite a good solution actually, to cover it up with some vines. For the interior, let us start from the cellar, and to access it we simply lift off the inn from the jumper plates. Inside you'll see we have a bunch of green bottles, some barrels of ale, as well as some crates and sacks. Pretty much everything you would expect to be stocked up in an inn. There's also a rat making its way to the sacks to possibly find some food. Beyond this little storage area we have a stone staircase from which you can get to the first floor of the inn. It's actually pretty well thought out because the inn can be stocked up using carts from the front entrance under the stairs. That way they wouldn't have to carry all of the heavy load up the front stairs, through the first floor of the inn, and down the stairs just to get to the cellar. But at the same time you can have your cooks go up and down from the cellar to maybe prepare some food on this little bench to serve to the guests on the first floor. Making our way up the stairs and into the first floor, we are greeted by a pretty welcoming interior. There are a couple of tables with space to comfortably seat a couple of minifigs on each side, but I can definitely see myself squeezing in a few more. I also like how the designer thought about lighting up the interior, so we have a couple of candles next to each of these windows. Speaking of windows, they actually do swing open, and I immediately picture a drunk brawl ending with someone being thrown out the window. Anyway, on the left side we have more barrels of ale. Again, no shortage of ale in this inn. And you can also see the stairs which lead down to the cellar. It might be a little hard to get a minifig to go down there because the wooden staircase leading up to the second floor is in the way. At the end of the room we have a fireplace with a cauldron being heated up and some horns as decoration above it. And on the right side we have a little bar / kitchen area where drinks and food can be served to the hungry travelers. We have a couple of turkey legs hanging there from the ceiling, some silver goblets on the left, more bottles, and a barrel with a baguette. Going up the stairs to the second floor, you come through this part and we have a broom clipped to the wall and some storage area on the right. You can also take off this roof section. It's not attached to anything, it's just held in place by those grooves. And the gaps are once again covered by these brick-built sections attached to a Technic pin. Inside the storage area we have a couple of chests and sacks in the back, presumably for guests to store their belongings while they spend the night. Speaking of which, you can see that there are 3 very comfortable and high-end beds here and a couple of shelves with these candle holders. Now I know what you're thinking, why aren't there any walls between? Don't they need some privacy? Well, sometimes in the Middle Ages their inns had a common room for different travelers to share a bedroom. This option was cheaper than getting a private room for yourself, so it was the go-to option for many travelers looking to save some money. You'll notice that there's a pretty cool little stool with a plant there in the corner. That plant pot is actually using a pretty interesting build technique which really works. There are a couple more of those protruding windows which open up on each side. Going up the ladder we get up to the attic, and to access the interior you just lift the side roof panels. They just sit there on some grooves just like the other roof section. This side is a little more difficult to lift off because this brick built window section is in the way. I guess this is a bit of a design flaw because to take the roof off you also have to take the window section off. I'd say you could even leave it on because removing the other roof section allows for plenty of room to get your hands in. Sadly, there's not much of an interior here, so I'll definitely be customizing it to add a couple more beds, or I can make a couple private chambers for those willing to pay a little extra for their own room at the inn. Oh, and remember the gap that I talked about earlier, where you could see some of the interior? Well, this is how simple it was to fix that, just by adding black bricks along the edge. Alright guys, that pretty much covers the review section. Overall though, the build experience was great, the instructions were easy to follow, and at times where it was unclear where exactly to place bricks, it clarified it pretty well. For example, when I had to place the bar stools, from the main image it was hard to determine where exactly they wanted me to place them, but then they included this bird's eye view of the whole setup which made it a lot easier. And that's only one of the many instances where the instructions were helpful. I think that inexperienced builders will definitely have no issues with building this. Let's talk a little more about the brick quality, and for that let's open this little package that we got as a gift from LesDiy. And you guys can see that it's actually supposed to be a small set, but I won't be building it right now. I just wanted to show you guys the quality of the bricks from LesDiy. Starting with the Technic connections, they actually feel more smooth as I insert the Technic pin into the hole, as opposed to Lego's connections which feel more snappy, meaning you can actually tell it's fully attached with the clicking sound. Looking at the large plate connections, this is where you can see that putting them together requires more force, And you need to make sure it's fully attached, like right here where I noticed part of the plate wasn't attached. For smaller plates, there really wasn't a connection issue at all. It's pretty easy to connect and disconnect the pieces. So again, for the most part, the quality is good, and from my personal experience of having a variety of off-branded MOCs, it felt pretty much the same as any other high-end off-branded company. And it's not too bad to the point where it would ruin the build experience. So for the build experience of the set, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. For the exterior, I think this medieval inn looks absolutely amazing. Again, I love the black and red color scheme. The roof is so well made, apart from the gap, but you'd really have to be leaning down to really notice it. I think that the birch trees and vegetation all around definitely add to the color and overall feel of the build. Normally I'm not a fan of the lime green, but I think I'll let it slide this time just because it contrasts well with all the olive green and tan. So for the exterior, I'm giving this a solid 9.5 out of 10. For the interior, the cellar room is great. I'm happy that it is included, but I just wish it was at least one brick higher so that minifigs can walk around. I'm actually thinking of modifying it to where it's actually one brick lower and the whole tavern floor is raised by a couple of bricks, if that makes sense. That way you sort of step down to access the door to the cellar. I think that would actually be a very cool modification. I really like the first floor. I think there's not much more you could have added. There's plenty of room for a minifig. The second floor is awesome too, but maybe they could have added a carpet of some sorts between the beds. That would have been neat, and maybe some more decorations all around. And the attic is empty, so that's a little unfortunate. Overall, for the interior, I'll give this set a 7 out of 10. For historical accuracy, first of all, the red and black color scheme would not have been common, which is a real shame because it looks amazing. As for the different aspects of an inn, it has its own stables, which was pretty common because travelers would not only need to house their horses for the night, but there was also a whole business surrounding these horses. They would have been able to rent a horse for their travels in the stables. That's right, not everyone was able to afford a horse, so it was convenient to rent a horse for however long your travels lasted. The cellar was also a vital aspect of the inn. Serving food, ale, and other alcoholic beverages would require a cool storage area to help preserve them for as long as possible. The first floor is pretty accurate too. There is a place to serve food and drinks, but at the same time it's not too big, which would have been realistic. I mean, the primary function of an inn would be to provide shelter for the night. We have a fireplace, which of course is common because of the winter months. On the second floor of the inn, there was usually a dormitory, which is exactly what we have here, only the beds would have normally been much simpler and made with straw, and sometimes they could throw a makeshift straw bed on the floor to accommodate for more people as the inn got full. So all in all, for historical accuracy, I think this set does a great job of capturing some of the aspects of an inn, so I'd give this set a 6.5 out of 10. Will definitely fit in my medieval city. Overall, this was a great experience, and again, I really recommend LesDiy. The great thing about ordering from them is that they are very good with providing help with missing parts. Fortunately, my set didn't have any missing pieces, but if I did have missing pieces, I could just contact them and they will send me the replacement parts for free. So that's always a good safety net to have when it comes to ordering MOCs online. As of the time of the recording of this video, this specific medieval tavern set is actually on sale for 137 USD, and using the code HBS20 to get 20% off at checkout will help bring that price even lower. And for that price, for what you're getting, I think it's an absolute bargain. Again, I'll leave all the links to LesDiy in the description below so you guys can go check them out. But that's all I've got for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, goodbye.